Hey, welcome back, guys. We just got done with a stretch where we were dealing with sub-zero temperatures, as you can see here. And when we have days like that, beef stew is one of my favorite dishes to warm up the body and the soul. I'm gonna show you how I make mine. It's simple but delicious. Hope you guys enjoy. Let's get started. All right, first things first, we have a couple pounds of stew meat. We have some diced potatoes. I have a bag of frozen carrots. We have some minced garlic. We're going to be using some onion and bell pepper. And I also have some beef base here. We'll use salt and pepper and granulated garlic and onion as well. First things first, we're going to brown off our stew meat. Now I did cut it into more uniform cubes and I did rinse it off. Now you have the option of whether or not you want to flour or bread your stew meat or just cook it like it is, like I'm doing. Either way works, but this particular day I just decided not to go ahead and bread it and just cook it regularly. We will be seasoning our meat as we go, but you just want to get a nice sear on the outside of your meat. I'm cooking it in a Dutch oven because I am going to transfer this to the oven once we get everything combined. All right, it's been going for a few minutes. Now we're going to go ahead and season up our meat. I'm adding in some granulated garlic and onion. We're going to be using some salt and black pepper. I go pretty heavy with my garlic and my onion and my pepper. Not as heavy with my salt because I am going to be using some beef base as well, and that has plenty of sodium in it. And you really don't want to add a ton of salt because you can't take salt out, but you can always add. All right, now when you've got your meat just about brown to your liking, you're going to go ahead on and add in your minced garlic. I added in about a tablespoon, but you can add a little more or a little less if you like. And we want to go ahead and saute that up just a little bit to awaken it before we move on to our next step. You don't want to add it when you add your, as soon as you add your meat, because it can burn and you don't want that to happen. All right, so once we've had it going for a minute or two, now we're going to add in our veggies. Combined, I had about the total of a small onion and a half of a large bell pepper is what we added to the pot. Again, this is where you can add more, a little less if you like. That's totally up to you, but this was, I figured this was enough for me with my pot that I had going on. And this is just a little bird's eye view of the pot so you can see what we have going on. I know there's a lot of steam, which made it a little hard to see. So now that our meat is browned up to the way we like, I'm going to go ahead and add in about a half of a cup of flour. This is going to help kind of make a roux, and this is going to thicken up our stew to when we add in our beef stock. Now, if you wanted a super thick gravy, you can add in about 3/4 of a cup of flour. If you want a little thinner, a half a cup will do, or even thinner than that, a 1/4 cup. But like I said, I added in about a half a cup of flour, and we're just going to go ahead and cook that down a little bit to get that flour flavor out of there. Then we're going to be adding our beef stock. Now I took the beef base, and that's what I made my beef stock out of. I made about 6 or 7 cups initially. You can use more, and if you don't have enough, you can actually use water as well. All right, once we've got that cooked down, we're going to go ahead and add in our potatoes. This was the equivalent of about 3 nice sized potatoes that we diced uniformly and washed. And we're going to get all that mixed in really well. Again, we're not trying to cook everything on top of the stove. We're just getting it nice and combined and just waking all those flavors up before we add it to the stove. And then once we got that, we're going to go ahead and add in our bag of carrots. I did combine the whole bag. I started off with half, then mixed it around, then we went on and eventually added in the whole entire bag. All right, so now we've got everything in the pot. So now we're going to go ahead and add in our stock. We're going to start off with just a little bit, so I can scrape the bottom of the pot, make sure nothing is sticking, and kind of break up the clumps and everything of the flour that I did add. Just like you see, nothing major. And once we get everything scraped off the bottom of the pot and everything combined to our liking, then we're going to go ahead on and add in the rest of the stock. You can kind of eyeball it however you like, but I'm just going to go just above the tops of our ingredients. So just above the meat and potatoes is where we're going to go with the liquid. All right, so just give everything a good mix again. Then what we're going to do, we're just going to bring this up to a simmer. Then I'm going to cover it up and then we're going to go ahead and throw it into a 375-degree oven and let it go for about an hour or so. Come back and check the meat, and we're just going to cook it until that meat becomes tender. All right, family, so we've had it going for an hour, and this is how it looks after an hour of cooking. You can see how everything is starting to cook down really well. The gravy is coming together, the vegetables are looking good, but the meat is not quite ready. It's still not tender enough, so we're going to go ahead, give it a mix. I'm going to taste the gravy, make sure that it's where we want it to be, if we need to add any more seasonings to it or whatnot. And then after you re-season, we're going to go right back into that oven and cook it down until that meat becomes fork tender. You can see, like right there, it's not quite where we want it to be, which is fine. Taste it, re-season, cover it back up, and throw it back in the oven until that meat gets tender. All right, guys, so this is 45 minutes later, and let's look at this beef stew. Look how it's thickened up. That gravy is looking nice and tight. That meat has gotten tender. The veggies are nice and tender, and the smell is amazing. So we know we got our seasoning together. We did that in the last clip there. You can see here the meat is nice and tender, like we've been looking for. It just falls apart. So I'm just going to go ahead and cover it up, let this sit for a little bit, make some cornbread. Then it's going to be time for us to eat. So again, that's nice and simple on a cold winter day. There's nothing better than that. Look at this nice beef stew. Look how nice and thick it is, nice and hot, and it tastes so good. So I hope you guys did enjoy this recipe. Ask that you like, comment, and subscribe. Please share the video. Until the next time, guys, God bless you. We'll see you on the next cook.